Community Chronicles Radio, brought to you weekly by Gannon University's Erie Technology Incubator, in partnership with the Corey Higher Education Council. The Erie Technology Incubator, located at 900 State Street, works in the entrepreneurial ecosystem and provides technical assistance through the entrepreneurial process. This show features members of this ecosystem and the entrepreneurs in the Erie area. Welcome to Community Chronicles Radio. As always, if you are interested in asking us a question or any of the guests, you can call in here at 814-679-1080. I am Dr. Matthew Plotz, and with us, as always, our tremendous co-host, Steph Scroose. How are you, Steph?
Very well. How are you doing today, Matt?
Doing pretty good. The thing that's going through our office, I seem to have contracted the cold. So I hope to avoid it, but it got me. So here we are.
Yeah, sorry. Well, we'll all suffer together, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think it's too bad. It's annoying, and it's hard to do a radio show.
Yes.
So last week we had Kara Haas from the Tia Bookseller, and I found that conversation very compelling. Mm-hmm. She was very interesting in her approach to opening a bookstore in Northeast. I feel like our guest today, our first guest, kind of builds on the book theme a little bit. And our guest, Tim, has developed an innovative approach to book writing. And I want to welcome to the show, Tim Vicky. Welcome, Tim.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yes, welcome, Tim. We'll start off by having you just tell us a little bit about yourself. And are you a native to Erie?
Oh, yeah, sure. So I am born and bred from Erie, Pennsylvania. You know, I was born here, went to school here. I left for college, had a good 20-year lucrative career in politics down in D.C., and then came back to help people write stories.
Okay. Are you
That's an interesting kind of path. I don't want to skip over that. All right, I want to back up there a little
bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I'm like, yeah.
We were just talking about politics and how that kind of the optics of all of that. How do you tie those two things together?
Well, it's kind of my whole worldview on any kind of career. You know, the one thing that makes someone a success in their life and their career is being able to tell a good story. You know, and that was something that I learned in politics, where, you know, you're a successful elected official, bureaucrat, whichever, if you can tell the best story. And then it just kind of evolved into, you know, next chapters and helping individuals tell their story, because it's not confined to one career. It's everything. You could be a store owner, and if you can tell a good story, you're going to get the customers to come in. If you have a good restaurant with a great story behind your menu, you're going to be extremely popular. So to me, a lot of these things come down to being able to tell the story that you have.
Right. You think of the one that gets me as you're speaking is the thought of like a job interview, and they ask you that one question. You should have an answer for it.
What kind of tree would you be?
Not that one, but
dogwood.
Tell us about yourself. And that is the question that if you don't have that one prepared and have a compelling story to tell,
right.
They're going to scratch you off the list. And that question can absolutely get you a job.
Yep, absolutely.
Sorry, Steph.
You are? No, that's all right. Good thing I've never been asked that question, because I don't know what kind of tree I would be. I'll have to think about that.
Yeah. So go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to step on you.
Oh, no.
You're thinking about the tree thing. You're stuck on the tree.
I'm just glad there's not a chipmunk with me today. So anyway, no. We'll go back to that later. But so Tim, are you currently a client of the Erie Technology Incubator, and can you tell us a little bit how they help entrepreneurs succeed?
Yeah, sure. So our offices are over at ETI's headquarters over at 900 State. We've been at ETI about 3 years now. 3-ish
Three and
years,
a half,
something along those lines. Yeah. I mean, one of the great things about ETI, about the tech incubator, is just having the community of other people who are sort of in the same boat. You know, there is probably not another person in the universe like me who is developing a platform to help people write stories that tinges on using a lot of AI and writing tools. In that sense, I'm unique, and I can't go down the street and just ask someone for advice on what to do. But if I have a problem with, I can't figure out how to find a developer that'll do the job I need, or I'm trying to think through some marketing plans, those are the kind of things that you can go to any of the other tenants at ETI because they're all going through the same thing. How do I find a bookkeeper that helps a startup survive? Things like that. Those are great for ETI, for the incubator, for that kind of community.
So let's dig into your business a bit. Can you tell us about the next chapters and the process you used to develop this idea?
Yeah, absolutely. So, I came up with the idea of Next Chapters, honestly, back when I was in graduate school. I was moving out, I was moving back to DC. And one of the ways that a lot of writers relieve stress is to write. So, grad school is very stressful. When we were moving out, I found boxes and boxes of chapter 1, the first part of a manuscript, probably like a good 20 books. I turned to my friend who was helping me move and I said, what am I going to do with all these books? And he said, what if I wrote the next chapter? And that just lit the spark. Why not have some kind of organization, some kind of company, some kind of consultant that helps people finish writing books? Now, there's absolutely nothing wrong with writing a book with a friend or with a partner or with a community. So we do add that into what we provide as well. We try to encourage people there are a lot of people who want to be published authors. They don't care what, they just want their name on the cover. They don't care about writing the next, Lord of the Rings. So letting people participate in a book with other people in a closed community of writers, that would help them achieve their dream. But beyond that, there are people who really want to write that book inside of them. I think it was Maya Angelou that said that, let people express themselves with the feelings that they have inside of them. So, we try to nurture and incubate those ideas with people. We use a lot of AI to help break through barriers. Now, we do not use AI to write the books because that's both, in my perspective, that's kind of cheating. And also, you just can't publish those books. But we use a lot of AI to break through as a muse, as a way to find the next step that's coming on or the problems in your plot that you weren't anticipating. So there's a lot of extra tools that we bring in on the platform that are just completely innovative. I don't know anyone else that's doing it quite the same way that we are. There are a lot of great companies out there that help people write books, but we're aiming for people who need that help, need a little bit of advice. And with all the advances that have been coming out with AI over the past couple of years, I think we found a way to do it that will really help people get their novel written.
So, Tim, I have a question based on what Steph asked, kind of building on that. So when you first started in ETI and it was Next Chapters and it was the community writing a book, what do you have, 7, 8 books that have been written on your platform. When did you get the light bulb effect of, geez, you know what, I think I really need to take this to the next level by adding in the AI aspect of what you were just talking about?
Well, and a huge part of it is just the development of AI. It's not something, we don't look at it this way anymore because it's becoming so prevalent in culture. But AI really is something that popped up in the past 2 years. It's very brand new. But, in discussions with, other tenants of ETI, with, Kathy and Brad, and with a lot of the people over at Ben Franklin, we were just brainstorming, how do we turn this idea into something that's profitable? And, just in conversations with some Ben Franklin people, we were talking about AI. We started talking about turning the Next Chapters platform into a community-based writing platform, into something that helps people, both as a community and individual, write books. So, it was a lot of brainstorming, a lot of, there are a lot of trial and error in ideas.
Right.
But, coming up with something that brings together ideas and creativity and even just, like I said before, a little bit of a muse to get your words on the screen or on paper. That was sort of an evolution with a lot of the people who come in and out at ETI.
Nice. And then how does your platform work as far as politely nudging a writer?
A big part of it is the uniqueness, the fun of it. We make writing fun. And that is one of the huge problems that people who want to write a novel cannot overcome. It's too much work. I have the laundry. I have the dog. I have work. I am too stressed out to write a book. So we make it fun. Even if it's only 15 minutes a day, you come in and you tell the platform what you have in mind, and we will give you ideas. And it's just amazing to watch people come up with 2 sentences of a plot. And for us to be able to take that and turn it into a 25 chapter outline for them. Just using ideas, just the kernel of an idea from them, turning it into something elaborate. It's just a lot of fun to watch, and it's a lot of fun to use too.
I think you probably run into that quite a bit, where people, they have this idea of something that they can't quite get it out onto paper the way that they see it in their head. It's that writer's block mentality where it's like, man, this would be great. People would really love this, but how do I do it?
Someone came up to me about 2 weeks ago and said, can you help me write a book about zombie squirrels on the Titanic? Kind of as a joke, but I said, give me 5 minutes.
Now, did AI create that whole, that's the thing where AI, some people will use it, like you said, that's like cheating to write the whole thing, where I've seen AI can write this whole book for you, but of course you can tell it's written by AI, but then to let it give you ideas is the cool thing. Like I even use that in marketing, instead, you just don't want it to create the whole thing. It gives you ideas. Like I said, you get writer's block, you get used to doing certain things a certain way, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I never thought of it that way. So I could see where that's helpful.
Yeah, and you hit it right on the head with that. We don't write books with AI. We don't do that. But we do use AI along with other scripts and processes and things that we've put into the platform to help you come up with ideas to write a book. We make it fun. So, there's a lot of legal problems with having AI just write a book for you. You can't copyright it, you can't publish it, it just doesn't work. So, if there was I had an article op-ed published in Writer's Digest last summer, pretty much exactly about this. There are a lot of people who will, in the artistic community, writing, painting, etc., who will not even touch AI because they look at it as, stealing work or ruining innovation or, destroying ideas. We don't take that approach. We look at AI as a tool, not a solution, not the end product, but a tool to help individuals get to that point that they can write the book. Now, sometimes you're going to need a first draft. We don't produce a first draft over AI, but we do have people on staff. I wrote a first draft of a chapter for someone who was stuck this morning. Helping people get to the point that they can use all the tools, including AI, on our platform to write their book. That's the main goal for me. I want to get people to achieve their dream of being a published author.
Well, Tim, you hit it on the head. This is Brad. So I'm going to pivot a little bit in that with AI nowadays, there's I call baskets of people. Some are on the bleeding edge of trying AI tools and moving it to the agent frontier, they call it. And then there are those that are trying to customize and understand all of the mechanical mechanisms. And then there's a group that are still thinking about adoption, kind of dancing around the canvas, if you will. So with all of these, I see incredible use cases for next chapters where there's a chance for groups to come together just because they need to capture an event. And there's also groups that just need to start adopting AI. And this is a tool to do that as well. Can you expand on use cases, both in using the tool to work with AI and to use it to capture events?
Mm-hmm. And that's one of the things that we found is the most important for writers. Now, yes, like I said, it's fun, and that gets people in the door. It gets them motivated to write a book. But like one of the things that we do, you will write a chapter on our platform. We run it through what I call the compliance check. We already have your plot. We have all your research, all your notes, all your characters in AI. It remembers all this stuff. So let's say that you write a chapter 7 that you're talking about, your main character walking through the park with the dog. AI can come back and say, the dog ran away in chapter 2. So, using AI as a way, sort of a checklist, sort of a way to keep you honest. It's not yelling at you. It's not saying you're wrong. It's just reminding you about things that you could have forgotten about, fine details. So, it's a great way to avoid plot holes. It's a great way to get people to remember all those complex storylines that they're trying to come up with. In a way that is fun for them to do, so they can create a story that they're proud of. And it's solid. It's not one of those books that you're like, what the heck is going on here? There's things, storylines all over the place. You know, we can help people pull all that stuff together and put together something that's really great.
I think, Brad, you know, I'm one of those people that's dancing around the canvas and have not quite accepted AI into my life. The one thing we did do is Grammarly at work with writing a sentence. And so often it pops up and I would write it this way, and it absolutely, that AI wrote a better sentence than I did. It was one of the toughest parts of my dissertation, working on with my dissertation chair. These are bad sentences. What you're writing, you know, if you flip these words, made it go this way. It's so easy to use. But with all that said and dancing around the canvas, I think that, you know, there's a lot of researches out there right now and studies about our future workforce and what that's going to look like. The baby boomers are going to start retiring en masse. That's right on the horizon. They call it a couple of things: silver tsunami, when the boomers bail. I've read a lot of books and research about that. The great thing about AI and some of the applications is that folks like you are bringing it into the mainstream and our lives in general, is that AI is freeing up human capital. Where, you know, if you were writing a book before, you may have several editors that take a look at it and do the same kind of things that the editors did. Joel had guests on his show earlier this week for a call center. You know, people just score, like, okay, you have the person taking the call, and then you have a person that scores the call. Well, if you want to free up that person that was doing the scoring, there was a great AI solution to that with Tom. And then Aaron Kerner, you're doing event planning. And think about all of the pieces and parts of that and how the AI can free up the human capital. I think it's going to be a very important thought process for a lot of different types of industry as things go along.
I'm starting to think how back when I was in college, if we had AI, how much different it would have been. I mean, I always loved, like Tim was talking about, yeah, how it makes everything more creative. I always loved creative writing. And I still keep thinking, I know my mind pings all over the place, but I still keep thinking about, Tim, you're talking about how somebody asked you to write a story about zombies on the Titanic. And did you ever write that story or zombie squirrels? Did you ever
chipmunk.
write that one?
Yeah.
Chipmunk. Yeah, now I'm thinking of zombie chipmunk.
We'll get to the chipmunk. We should have talked about that in the small talk section.
So we did create using AI and worksheets that we've created on the platform. Yeah, we were able to come up with a zombie squirrels on the Titanic.
Is there cover art?
I can, we do make cover art as well.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
Yeah, Tim, if you don't mind, the other thing I'm a subscriber to your platform, and I think there might be more even in the room, but if you could just talk to people how easy it is to sign up and start using the tool, I think that's half the battle. Is how do you enter adoption to something like this?
Yep.
What are the steps?
Well, and we want to make it easy for people. I am very convinced that when people start seeing what we can do, they are going to want to stick around. So if you are interested in signing up on Next Chapters, nextchapters.com, right at the top, at the very center of the homepage is a form to get a free month trial on the platform emailed to you. Just sign up. You'll get the coupon in the mail, come and create an account, use the coupon code, you will get a first month free. There is no obligation beyond that. If you don't like us for whatever reason, good luck. But I think that most people will come over, have a good time, realize that they can write a book along with everything else in their life, and stick around and let us help them become an author.
I think one of the great parts of this show is people realizing what's out there and what people are doing. And, we get an opportunity to talk about this, in a half-hour segment. But we also like the connections that we get to make. And I think, like I said at the top of the show, that we had Kara Haas from Tia Bookseller, and what she's trying to get done in her bookstore. I think the connection with you is going to be important because people who write books also read a lot. So we'll make sure that happens.
Yep.
And, I think there's something there for the both of you.
Yeah, there's also, and I'm stealing from Steph's sheet here a little bit, but you, Tim, you grew up without AI, and now you've built a tool with AI, and you've never been in development specialist before.
Yeah.
You've not had a coding background. Can you talk about how you've been able to unpack your skill set to drive a technology business?
If you want to know why my hair has turned white, I am not from the development world. I am not from, I'm from a generation that grew up without internet or AI. So this was something that, at least for people my age, came out when they were young adults. I've always been a tech person. My mother worked for IBM back in the 60s, so tech has always been around the house. So it wasn't something that was scary for me, while it is for a lot of other people. The development side, it's a lot of crying. It's a lot of hit and miss. It's a lot of frustration. But, once you finally get that good team together that understands your end goal, what you're trying to do, and has the same drive that you do, that, we're doing this, for them. We're doing this not only for a job, for a paycheck, but to help people write. It helps them with their motivation as well. I mean, it's the same thing as the business owner. It's just a different role in the company. All of us are trying to help people write books. So finding the developers or even the bookkeeper that is interested in this really makes a huge difference.
So
Yeah, I got to say, with the ETI, we've been watching Tim with each one of these blows, trying to get the technology to work. It's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back. And although it's not easy, Tim has always kind of come back the next day and said, let's do it again, and let's do it again. And so he's really got a highly functional, well thought out wireframe of a platform ready to kind of capture stories and ideas and creativity at the right time for AI. It's like lightning in a bottle for the Erie community. It is an opportunity also, I think, for Erie to jump in and start testing this tool to make sure that we're first testers on something that's going to be a natural tool in the next 5-10 years for everyone around the country.
So
Shameless plug.
I know Brad just talked about, kind of working through the first iteration of this, but what do you see in the future? Where are you heading?
I would love to, my dream retirement or post-political job is really helping people write books. I would like to keep the platform advancing with all the new innovations that come out with AI and with programming, but also, the core of the company is not AI. The core of the company is helping people write books. So I would love to be able to encourage people to use tools that we put together and just let me help them write stories. And I would love to, whenever I get to the point that I do retire, have that fireplace with hundreds of books behind me that I help people write.
And what a great thing that would be, just to have that background and all of the people that you've helped along the way, and you were part of it.
Yep.
The part of telling the stories. That would be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. And you also not only have Next Chapters, but you also kind of work with the library and offer how to write a book. Where are you at? Can you talk a little bit about the free services that you
we have 1 minute before we go to the break.
Okay, well, and actually there is an event at the library down at Blasco Library tomorrow. Last I checked, there were still 2 openings on to schedule with me to just sit down for a free 45-minute session.
That's great.
To come in with your I want to write a book about zombie squirrels on the Titanic. We have 45 minutes. You will walk out of there with a plot and go home and start writing.
That's great.
Oh.
So, check the library's website. It's their Erie Makes event.
Well, thank you, Tim. This is a great
Yes,
half
thank
hour.
you.
I learned a lot. I'm excited about what you're doing, and I'll be following along as we go. We're going to go to the news break at the bottom of the half hour. We'll be back with Poverty Knob Ales when we get back. Stick around. Welcome back to Community Chronicles Radio, brought to you weekly by Gannon University's Erie Technology Incubator in partnership with the Corey Higher Education Council. The Erie Technology Incubator, located at 900 State Street, works in the entrepreneurial ecosystem and provides technical assistance through the entrepreneurial process. This show features members of this ecosystem and the entrepreneurs in the Erie area. Well, Steph, I'm really excited to talk with our next guest. I'm a huge fan of the business, and I was even before Poverty Knob was there with Port Farms. If you have young kids, you're probably familiar with that. I am impressed with everything that they've done out there. I would like to welcome to the show now Casey DeCisco, owner of Poverty Knob Farmhouse Ales. I'll spit it out. Those that know me know I like to talk beer. So good morning, Casey.
Good morning. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. Do you have someone else with you?
No, it's just me.
Just you?
Just
okay.
me.
All right.
Good morning, Casey. Can we start off? Yeah, we'll just start off by having you just tell us a little bit about yourself and the history of Port Farms. How about that?
Yeah, sure. So I grew up on the farm. I came back as fifth generation. So left for a little bit, went to Penn State, graduated there, dabbled in the corporate world. I've been back for about 3 years, and I oversee all the operations here. So history about the farm, we go back to it was established in 1897. So we've transitioned a lot over those years, anywhere from dairy farming, growing crops from soybeans to wheat, rye, corn, all that fun stuff, potatoes. And then in the late 90s, the dairy market really took a turn. So that's when we started to go through a big transition again. My parents looked into Christmas trees. So that's really what started the initiative of how everybody sees the farm today as kind of agritainment. So we started growing Christmas trees in 2003. And we were going to conventions at Penn State, and everybody was like, if you grow Christmas trees, you got to start getting your name out there to the public, because they take about 7 years to mature. So you're planting them and selling your first crop 7 years later.
Wow.
Yeah. So we started the pumpkin farm. Really just going to schools and school tours were our kickoff to that, and just educating students on farming and getting them out, playing in the dirt. So that's really how we started the pumpkin farm and the agritainment side. And that kind of led to weddings. And then now, as most people know, we have the brewery. So lots of transitions over the past several years.
There's a lot going on over there. I mean, usually when I hear about Port Farms, I've never actually been over there. I don't have kids, so probably if I had kids, I would have been over there right away. But I always see it around fall. But are you open like year round for different things, or is it like I know you said about the trees too, like after the fall season, are you open around Christmas as well, or?
Oh yeah. So we the brewery has made us 365 now. So we really start like our festivals, our outdoor concert series in June. And then so June, July, August, we're doing outdoor concerts. And then August and September, we have our whole summer days series. So fields of flowers and all that fun stuff. And then we transition to our fall harvest, which is what we're really known for. So late September through October, we're doing the Fall Harvest Festival, corn maze, pumpkins. And then Black Friday, we transition to Christmas. So we have our sleigh rides, Santa visits, live music up in the barn, fun cocktails, all that stuff.
So through all that, one of the things that has always stuck with me as a parent of younger kids, and they're a little older now, but I think every parent has come home with a piece of the corn pit or several.
Yes.
It's a souvenir that everybody gets at some point.
Yeah. We had we took the corn box away during COVID. And then parents were actually like, please do not bring that back next year. Our kids
so much
love
fun.
it, but we hate it. Yeah.
Yeah, the kids love that. They really do.
Yeah, it's definitely our most popular attraction.
So getting back to the brewery side, so how long has a brewery been considered for your property?
Yeah, so my dad, Jerry started talking about it. Gosh, probably I keep saying 10 years, so it's probably been like 15 years or so now. Um, Always said I really want to open a brewery. I want to call it Poverty Knob. So when I came back about 3 years ago, we really started doing research and visiting other farm breweries, introducing alcohol and beer onto the farm and just seeing if it's what our customers really wanted. So we had a lot of great feedback. The beer community in Erie is super great, so had a lot of help that way on just numbers and what makes sense. So it's been a long time coming. We started the project, I think, in gosh, 3 years ago is when we really started to, contract equipment and start the building process.
I really like the idea, and I think a lot of places are going this way about our food supply and the health of things. I love the idea of the fact that you are growing the ingredients and then making the beer. It just makes it seem like a much more pure product.
Yeah, it's been fun to introduce everything we have on the farm into the beer. Our brewer's having a good time with that.
So can you tell us about the background of the name Poverty Knob?
Yeah, definitely. So my great grandma, Beatrice Port, deemed like a portion of the farmland. It's kind of if you ever go on the wagon ride, it's where you kind of loop around, and come back to the farm. She deemed that farmland Poverty Knob, just due to the lack of crop production. So it's kind of gravelly back there, dry. It's surrounded by woods, so the groundhogs would love to come out and eat the crops that did grow in that area. So that's where Poverty Knob came from. And then that's where you get where the brewery sits today is in our old potato storage barn that we redid. So we have the Tater and Spud, our two groundhogs that are kind of like our mascots for the brewery. And as you walk up the sidewalk into the brewery, you kind of follow their footsteps along the way in. Yeah.
When we went a while back, and I was looking at that. I thought like an animal had stepped into the concrete when it was poured. That was intentional. That's cool.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Got to keep the branding throughout the farm, so keeps it fun.
Yeah, that was one of the questions. I was looking at your website and I saw the groundhogs, and I was going to say, oh, can you tell us about Tater and Spud? And so,
Yep.
But do you have more than Tater and Spud? Have they multiplied, or is it still
just the two for now?
I
know when I have woodchucks, they usually multiply.
Yeah.
This show today is all about the varmints, the critters.
I
know. And Steph has a great story. We'll share that at the end of the show.
Yeah. Oh, now I know we had talked about some of your upcoming or the events going on. Can you tell us about some of the upcoming events? And you're looking at a 1-year anniversary soon, right?
Yep. Yeah. So our 1 year will be November 22nd. So we have a new beer release for that event. We'll have live music that day, and our brewer will be out there to talk about our beer. So it's a German chocolate cake stout. Which
man,
should be really fun. Yeah, it'll be a good beer to try.
You're talking to me now, Casey. That sounds good.
Yeah, he's really pumped about it. It's in the tank still, so it'll finish up next week.
So that's a type of beer called German cake. Wow.
Well, it's an imperial stout, but we loaded it with chocolate and toasted coconut. So it's like drinking a dessert.
Let's do that. Let's back up. I know what you're talking about. The people that I talk to frequently in the beer community kind of know what you're talking about. Let's back up to that. Let's talk about the different styles of beers and how Poverty Knob has kind of developed each one that they have.
Oh gosh, yeah. So we have kind of like our flagship beers, really what people come for and just drink every day. We have our Mexican lager. We have a few IPAs on tap that are really popular. And then we have my favorite we could talk about later is our Saison du Port. So it's kind of like a farmhouse ale beer. And then we have a midnight lager, which is dark in color, but still it kind of tricks people a little bit into thinking that it's a stout, but it's really, it tastes like a true lager. Gosh, what else? And then we have our rotating sour. So we just released our first grape sour. So we had local grapes from Northeast that we brought in like 600 pounds of grapes into the mash tun. And
wow.
So yeah, it's really, really good. But yeah.
I really enjoy that midnight lager. That I would recommend that one.
Thank you.
So Casey, this is Brad Gleason. I'm going to jump in and just ask a really interesting question. I'm just blown away by the creativity of your types of beers. So how do you come up with those ideas? How do you guys go through that process?
Yeah, it's very casual. I mean, our brewer has wishes. My dad has wishes. I have certain things that I like, and mom does as well. Or we'll get different ideas from some investors and things like that. So it's just really just sit down and just be like, yeah, we think we want to do this. And then it just depends on the season as well. So, with the grape stout, Northeast just harvested all their grapes in the middle of fall time. So that was just a natural fit. Or we did our spruce tip IPA. So back in the spring when the Christmas trees are in full bloom, we have spruce, the tips of the tree that we harvested out on the farm. And so that was just, again, like a natural fit that we thought would be really cool since we're a Christmas tree farm and
wow.
everything. But yeah, it just kind of is, you're sitting down talking about it. Dad's reading something online, or, Sean, our brewer, is listening to a podcast, and they're just like, yeah, let's try it. So, and we listen to our customers a lot too. So we have, the regulars that come back and know what they're looking for. So we try to accommodate everybody.
Now I'm looking at your website and I see you offer food. So
yeah.
what kind of food do you offer along with your brewery?
Yeah, it depends on the season. We back down our menu for the fall time just because we're doing food for we have a few different kitchens on the farm where we're supporting the festivals, and then we support the brewery as well with the same team. So we back down our menu in the fall, but we'll be switching back. Hopefully the goal is next week before we open for Christmas. So it's a lot of great sandwiches. So our cattle yard's probably the most famous. We have flatbread pizzas, some shareables. So it's pretty casual, but great food.
So a question that I like to ask, and if I don't ask it, my mother will text me afterwards and say, find out if they are gluten-free. Are there gluten-free options? She has celiac.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep. Yes.
On both sides, the food and the alcohol side?
So we have our seltzer that is gluten-free, and then we have some different like liquor options that are gluten-free, but our seltzer is,
wow.
And you can add, it's just a seltzer base. It's actually really cool. And then you can add different fruit options to that base. So if you're not like a mango fan, you can switch to strawberry or peach or raspberry.
Wow, cool.
Yeah. It turns into like a little cocktail.
So out of all the beers and the drinks there, what is your favorite? Do you have a favorite?
Yeah, the Saison is definitely the Saison du Port. We're doing a dry hop Saison that'll be released in a few weeks as well. But the Saison du Port was one of our original beers, and it's definitely my favorite. And then if I want to switch it up, I drink the midnight lager pretty often too. But those are my two favorites. But I'm not a huge. I've learned to love the IPAs. When you own a brewery. When you own a brewery, you learn to love those things. But I'm not a true fan of the IPAs yet, so I stick to the lagers.
Yeah, you know what? There's a process for that, Casey.
Definitely acquired taste.
When my wife and I got into craft beer, we were definitely straight sours and porter, or not sours, stouts and porters and the darker beers. Sometimes lager. Anything that kind of tasted like a Yingling, you know, that was where we were.
Yep.
But over time, we found IPAs that we liked, and there can be varying levels of you know, the hop taste at the end that kind of gets people maybe turned off from it. A friend of mine says that most of those taste like bug spray. I can't unhear that.
Yeah,
or a Christmas tree.
IBUs.
You know,
Yes.
you mentioned the spruce tips. Yeah, a lot of people say, yeah, it tastes like a pine tree or a pine cone.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, but it is a process. We came to it much later, and it's something that, you know, we do find IPAs that we enjoy. Sometimes they're a little too hoppy, but
Yeah. Yeah. We have a quite the range. So our Citrus Sunrise is less bitter. Like your IBUs are a little lower, so that's like a good starting point. And then from there we have our Obstructed, which is a little higher in hoppiness, and then we're brewing our West Coast IPA, which is really the kicker if you're if you're into that sort of thing. So it is. We kind of have a scale. So if you want to get into it, that's a way to try is go up the line there.
So on the beer theme, and you touched on it a little bit before, the craft beer community in the Erie area is, you know, very tight. They work together. You think of all the breweries and folks that are in that business here. It's not treated so much as a competition. Can you talk a little bit about the community and how they helped you through the process?
Yeah, gosh, we came into it, you know, we love to drink beer, but know nothing about it. So nothing about the brewing process or anything. So we just started, one of my favorite local breweries is Lavery's. So we would, got in touch with Jason, and he worked with us in the beginning, and that's how we kind of introduced beer onto the farm, was bringing his beer out here. And so we went in there and he showed us the brew process and just kind of the, you know, the general idea of like, hey, this is how it works. And then just through that, we had different connections, and there's great state groups as well. So there's like Brewers of Pennsylvania that you get involved with. And then from there, the connections are just unlimited. But yeah, so everybody here is, even Erie Ale Works has brought us in and shown us their equipment and just their back of house kind of like, you know, this is what we love, this is what we would change. So a lot of visiting breweries up in like farmhouse breweries out on the other side of Pennsylvania or up in Buffalo, or even out in Ohio. So everybody from across the US has been super generous, letting us into their doors and just, you know, giving us the lowdown on how to make it work.
And you are part of the Lake Erie Ale Trail, correct?
Yes, yeah, we are.
Yeah, that we're coming up on the time for the new cards, right? They do that. Yeah. So if people are interested, you can get the Lake Erie Ale Trail, I believe, at any of the participating stores. Is that correct, Casey?
Yeah, so you do it online, and then you pick up the growler and the card. Yeah, it sells out pretty quickly. So they only allow a certain number of people to get the growler, and then you pick it up. Usually the location is at Lavery's, and then you can go to the participating locations and you get your free growler fill.
It's a great promotion, and again, it highlights the collaboration of all the breweries in our area and how they kind of work together. It's a great group. We've had several of them on, and I'm always excited to have these guests on, just simply because it's something I like and something that I think kind of lends itself to our area. You know, people think of, you know, out in Northeast, you talked about the grapes and the wine scene here in Erie, but I think the beer scene is not too far behind. And then distilling right behind that.
Yeah, for sure. That's been fun to watch as well.
Yeah. So Steph touched on the upcoming event, your 1 year anniversary. What else do you have going on out there?
Yeah, oh God, it seems like it's constant. I can't keep up. We have live music on Sundays always. We have different workshops every month. So the one coming up in December, I think on December 4th, we have a centerpiece making workshop. So you come in and learn how to do that, take it home with you. We have Cocktails with the Grinch coming up on a Friday, December 6th. And then we open for the farm for Christmas trees, and our events barn will open on Black Friday. So that'll be like the sleigh rides and everything. It's really a special time for us out here. And then in January, we're starting a cornhole league out here. So we're taking signups for that right now, and then it'll kick off in January and go through beginning of March.
Cool. I'm looking at the events. Oh, go ahead, Steph.
Oh, I was just going to say, so if somebody wanted to schedule an event with you, how would they go about getting a hold of you if they wanted to do that?
So we do like corporate events, weddings, private events. They'd reach out. We have a form online that just asks a little bit of information, or they can just call the farm, and my mom's the one who handles that. So.
That's great.
Okay.
I'm looking at the events calendar here, and I would be remiss if I didn't mention this. On the 27th, the night before Thanksgiving, that's a great night where people go out. You have Tyler McLean coming in. He's
yes,
part.
Yep.
His wife works at the Corey Hyatt, so I wanted to make sure we highlighted that one. And if you get a chance, stop out on the 27th.
Yeah, we like having him out to the brewery. He pulls a good crowd.
Absolutely. So, Casey, thank you for coming on. I know it's a quick half hour. The questions kind of go fast, and we're always glad to have you on. If you'd like to come back on, give us a holler and let us know if you have stuff going on.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
All right, Steph. I wanted to leave time today. We have some things coming up here at the end of our fall schedule. And maybe, you know what, I think we could probably sneak peek one of the big ones for the listeners right now, that are the stuff that's coming up in the spring. Catalog isn't out yet.
No, not yet.
But they are listed and ready to register. So you get just a quick sneak peek. So go ahead, Steph, walk through some of the stuff we have going on.
Yes, absolutely. Next week, we've got a class called So You Want to Be a Beekeeper, and that one is only $10. And that one, I was even thinking about taking it just out of curiosity's sake. I don't know if I'd want to be around bees. I know Kat, our assistant director, she is all about the beekeeping.
Yeah.
So this is a class she's definitely going to be at, and I know we've got a bunch of people signed up. So don't miss out on that. That's coming up next Monday, I think it is, at 5:00.
That snuck up fast, didn't it?
It did. Like I said, I keep thinking, I can't believe it's November already. And of course, we've got. We're still running our Master Homeowners class. We still have classes that you could sign up for.
We're running out of those, though. I think Neighborhood Relations is the one coming up.
Yep.
Talking to your neighbors. Could you imagine?
I know. Who wants to do that? $20 for that if you want just the individual class. And then another really cool one we have is self-defense and self-awareness. That one's only $15. That's coming up December 4th. And that's through a company. It's LLC, You Matter LLC, and that looks like a really fun course. So make sure that's coming up sooner than we think too, and that will be at 4. It's
an important one. I think a lot of people with cell phones now, they're not paying attention to their surroundings. I think that'll be a great class. Yeah,
it covers all the aspects. It's not just like a Taekwondo class. It's it's like it covers all the facets of self-defense moves, simple and effective. Make sure you bring comfortable clothes, dress and attire, that you can move freely during that class. So once again, that one's only $15. Basket making. That was the one I wanted to highlight too. I'm thinking if you need a unique gift for somebody, and you could make them a basket. I mean, now you have the opportunity. We have, I think it's for 2 sessions. It's a 2-part class. That's right. December 5th and December 12th, 2-part class. Yeah. And it's only $40, and that includes all your materials and supplies. So, or if, like I said, you want to make a basket just for yourself, but how cool. It'd be like, hey.
Yeah, and your basket will be ready in time to give as a gift.
Yeah, and then you could put gifts inside the basket too. So I think that would be perfect. And of course, we've got all the spring courses loaded online. So if you would like to sign up for those are all ready to sign up for. We don't have, like Matt was saying, the actual catalog out yet. I am working on that. And Kara's come up with some really awesome classes, our program coordinator. And I'm really excited about, we've got a macrame class. That one's in January. Also,
there's one I want to highlight.
Okay, go ahead, Matt.
It touches on so much of what we do at the Corey Hyatt. We're in education, workforce development. We have a free screening of No Small Matter coming up on January 23rd. That is a documentary film speaking about the importance of early childhood education and how important it is for young people from birth until 3, where a lot of our formative brain power comes from, making sure that they get early childhood education and also child care right up until they go to school at the age of 5. The importance of that cannot be understated, and it's one of the things that we look at the Corey High Ed. Also, as workforce, there's so many people out there, and we talk about this with politicians and anybody that will listen, and we're working on a few cool ideas. But child care is workforce, because if you don't have somebody to take care of your youngers, and we're seeing that in great numbers in the research that we're looking at. So that documentary, No Small Matter, will be screened free January 23rd at 4 p.m. I recommend if you're in that space or just somebody that maybe has a young child, come and check it out, and we can start a discussion, because that is so important. That's why we have this show, to have discussions about the things that need to be talked about and potentially come up with ideas. So I'm excited about that one. I feel like if we get that information into the hands of people, it'll be a good thing. So Steph, we have to hit the joke of the day.
Oh yes, the dad joke.
Yesterday there was a chipmunk in Steph's office. It scared her pretty bad. But we have woodchucks and squirrels and now chipmunks. So the dad joke of the day, brought to you by the Corey Higher Education Council. This one is the first one that stood out to me. Why did the chipmunk bring a ladder to the bar? Poverty knob, we'll say. Because he heard the drinks were on the house.
You heard the drinks were on the house.
Yeah, he had to climb up.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
yes,
gosh.
okay. Oh my gosh, it took me a while.
Cold medicine.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
Stick around for the Economic Pulse with Lath and Tina. We will see you next week. Selfie.
Ah,
There you
yeah. Hey.
Hey there.
There you go. Hold on a second. Let's just make sure everybody can hear each other. Go ahead, Martina.
Testing, testing.
Jim, let's hear you.
Testing. Good morning, all.
Can you hear Elise? Let's hear.
Hey.
Okay. Everybody can hear each other and no echoes, right? So,
Nope.
All right.
Tina could be. Jim and I are louder than Tina in my ears.
That's always the case.
Now I can hear you.
All right.
Still soft spoken.
That's right. I'm the nice, quiet one.
Quiet but carries the big stick, right? Yeah.
Got to watch out for the quiet ones.
Right on.
Are we on the news? I don't hear anything.
Yeah, here we go. I'm going to mute everybody now.